What's going on, everybody? Happy Packers postgame. The Packers are 6-2. I don't know about you guys. I'm exhausted from that game. That was absolutely crazy, absolutely wild. Green Bay finds a way to pick up a win. I don't know how. I like, honestly, like, they didn't have their A+ game anywhere near to it. They go down, and then Jordan Love goes out of the game, and they go on a 14-0 run immediately. They're up by 10. Feels like the game's in hand. And then Jacksonville goes on a 10-0 run. I'm very surprised Doug Peterson did not go for 2 at the end, but he didn't. It didn't really ultimately matter anyway, because Green Bay was able to get in field goal range. Maybe would have changed how both teams would have played that final drive. And then Malik Willis, the play to Jaden Reed at the end of the game to get in field goal range. Packers get the field goal at the end. I tweeted out, like, the wild, crazy thing. We can talk about the Xavier McKinney pickup, pretty huge pickup, right? Another interception in this game. He's unreal. We can talk about the Josh Jacobs pickup, another huge game for him, massive run to kind of get the momentum back with Green Bay. He was fantastic. If the Packers don't pick up Malik Willis and Brandon McManus, in all likelihood, they are 2-6 right now, which is insane to say. We're not talking about the premium free agent additions. We're talking about a 7th-round pick trade at the end of camp, where the Titans were probably just going to release Malik Willis anyway. And by the way, was the Titans' best quarterback. Like, there is no doubt about it whatsoever. Malik Willis was the Titans' best quarterback. They got trounced by the Lions today. And it's like the fact that they kept Mason Rudolph and Will Levis, like, those two are like, yeah, that's what we're going to do. And we'll take a 7th-round pick in return for Malik Willis. Just bad franchises stay bad. Green Bay gets Malik Willis for a 7th and finds Brandon McManus, obviously, after all the legal issues that he was going through. And if it weren't for those two, Green Bay is 2-6. It's unfathomable. The NFL is insane. Football is wild. Now, a lot to kind of break down from this one from a what did it cost standpoint. We saw Jordan Love go down injured, obviously, groin injury. What's his status going to be over, going into a huge game against Detroit this week? Josh Jacobs limped off towards the end. Jair Alexander had an injury towards the end. I feel like I'm missing one as well, but like, Green Bay clearly got beat up in this game. Evan Williams, hamstring injury. So it may have cost Green Bay a lot depending on the status of those injuries, right? Jair, Evan Williams, Josh Jacobs, Jordan Love. That's like kind of the team. But who knows? Goody will just find some practice squad guy and plug him in, and it'll probably be fine. Detroit looked unstoppable today. Obviously, it's against Tennessee, so take it for what it's worth, but they've been unbelievable. It's a huge matchup. And then you get the bye week. Green Bay desperately feels like they need that bye week right now, especially for Jordan Love. I mean, you can just tell he was not himself early in the game. I thought Green Bay's defense was phenomenal early on, and Green Bay's offense just could not take advantage of it. And then Green Bay's defense certainly went through a lull. And then you obviously get the Xavier McKinney interception early. You get the huge play by Edgerrin Cooper, which really was a massive play in the game. And then Devontae Wyatt, one of the most unheralded plays, to just basically chuck Mitch Morse out of the way and just want that ball more and go get that football. That was an unbelievable play by Devontae Wyatt. That's a game changer. And then the defense really couldn't hold it. 2 disappointing drives at the end to allow Jacksonville to get those 10 points and tie the game up. When you're up by 10 in that situation, you kind of felt like Green Bay's defense could put it on lockdown and go get that win. And it didn't do that, which was definitely disappointing. You would have loved to have seen them play a lot better. This was sort of in a similar vein to last week, this weirdo, bizarro brand of complimentary yet uncomplimentary football. And what I mean by that is, at no point in this game was the offense complimenting the defense or vice versa, other than when the Packers got those 2 turnovers and Green Bay was able to convert those into points. That was the only time it was complimentary, but it felt like when the defense was outstanding early in the game, the offense couldn't do anything. And when the offense had their run in the middle of the game, then the defense couldn't do anything. It just felt like there was never, like, they were never, on the same page to kind of deliver that knockout blow. But man, like, you can view this from whatever lens that you want, right? If you want to view this as like, hey, offense with Jordan Love out there early in the game, like, I needed more. You had a Romeo Doubs drop that was costly later in the game. If you're like, I need more than that, I need more consistency than that, I can understand that. If you even say, hey, game was on the line, defense had a 10-point lead against a not exactly great Jacksonville offense, I need to have more than that. I get it. If you also want to view it from the opposite lens and say, All right, that was about everything that could go bizarre in that game. Green Bay, again, didn't have their A game, plus all the injuries. Jordan Love's knocked out, and you still find a way to get a win, and you want to take a lot of positives away from that one as well. I certainly believe in that, and I can understand why that's the lens that you want to view that through. I think how I choose to view this is there's still a lot to clean up. Concerned about some of the injuries, no question about that. I see all the super chats, by the way. I'll get to those in just a moment. You guys are the absolute freaking best. I choose to believe that they're going to, be able to learn from some of the mistakes in this game. This was as difficult, I think, of a game as, some of us had kind of just feared of, like, you knew Jacksonville was going to give it everything. Jacksonville's been a weird place for them to play in the past. And you had a couple things that went against them, but Green Bay found a way to win. They'll learn from the mistakes. They'll get better from it. But I think the injuries are definitely ones to really kind of keep an eye on when you lose. At some point, Jair Alexander, Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs, and Evan Williams at some point in the game to injury. So got to get a lot cleaned up. No question about it. But I'm really, really happy that they found a way to get that win, get the W in the W column, and go to 6-2 was not easy. I didn't think Jacksonville played great in this one, but they definitely were gritty. Like, they did not give up. They kept fighting. Trevor Lawrence made some big time plays towards the end of that game. And would I have liked to seen a better performance from the defense at the end? Yeah, I would have. Would I have liked to have seen a better performance from the offense in the beginning? Yes. But finding a way to win that game, especially when you're down, your backup quarterback's in, and it's just a really bizarre game. F it. I'll take it. I will absolutely take it. And you learn from it. And now you got a massive game coming up this week against the Detroit Lions, which is going to have massive implications, in the NFC North. And, I think from Green Bay's standpoint, you really don't want to go to 0-2 in the division with losses against Minnesota and Detroit, both at home, by the way. So it's a huge game coming up this week. And hopefully some of those injuries aren't major and Green Bay can get those guys back and have a really fun game with Detroit this coming week. Obviously, Detroit banged up too, or just has some situations too. Jameson Williams out with the suspension, Aiden Hutchinson out, what could be for the year as well. So we'll see what the injury report looks like this week for both teams. Now let's get to those super chats. Brandon Kell's most important acquisition at this point in the season, Willis or McManus? Well, I would say McManus, won them one game for sure in the Texans game, where I don't, if that's Narvison, I just don't think he makes that field goal. So that's one in the win column versus the loss. I don't think if this is Sean Clifford still, or, just some other random quarterback, or they would have kept Michael Pratt, I don't think they beat Indy. I don't think they beat Tennessee, and I don't think they win this game. I think the Malik Willis 3-0 revenge tour against the AFC South, that to me is the bigger pickup there. Just absolutely crazy. And kudos to Matt LaFleur and company. Like, they got him some easy throws, right? That Jaden Reed one, wide open. The Tucker Kraft touchdown, wide open. The Dobbs play. See, I'm just so excited. Like, there's so much to talk about in this game. I can't even talk. The Dobbs drop, not the Drobbs op. The Dobbs drop was a wide open play that he had there. So I thought they dialed up some really great stuff. Obviously, he was able to use his legs. Josh Jacobs just went on an absolute tear. The run blocking got better, but it still takes Malik, Willis going out there and executing those plays, especially the throw to Jaden Reed. Like, yes, it's a wide open throw. It's not a guarantee. You still got to put that on the money. And sometimes we've seen quarterbacks, even Jordan, at times where you get that wide open receiver and you get a little bit anxious and nervous and excited and you overthrow it and it's an incomplete pass. We saw one from Lamar Jackson today, not in this game, but where he had a wide open, I think it was Zay Flowers, and he just overthrew it. So, like, you still have to execute. And Malik Willis, every time he's been asked to do something, he's done it. It's unfathomable, and just a crazy performance from him. And again, kudos to Matt for getting some of those open looks as well. High powered. I mean, first of all, why? Like, that's your takeaway from this game after an exciting victory at the end. Like, why be a fan at that point? Like, just seriously, why? Like, what's the point? If your immediate reaction after a win is the team that we play next is going to slaughter us. Also, it's the NF freaking L. Like, do you see some of the games that happened today? The Patriots beat the Jets. The Ravens lost to the Browns. You can't predict shit. So come on, give me a break. It's a stupid take. Get out of here. All right, Izzy Roberts. Cooper, huge game. Malik, we need to sign. Where'd I go? There we go. I don't know what to make of it. Like, he obviously has a whole nother year on his contract, so you're not doing anything with it now. it's such a weird scenario. You don't really have these situations come up all that much. You also had obviously some advantageous looks for Malik Willis in all three of those games, but the efficiency at which he has performed with is unbelievable. It's absolutely crazy. So again, there's no trade that's going to happen here. I joked about it of like, all right, let's see what he can do to up that trade value, but that's not going to happen. He's too valuable right now as a backup QB. You know, in the offseason, it's an interesting conversation. I still think teams are probably most likely to look at Malik Willis and say he's a benefactor of Matt LaFleur and some of the stuff that they're doing on offense more than just him going out and being dominant. But like the more sample size that you get of Malik Willis putting good stuff on tape, the more interesting that gets. Does some team go all in on Malik Willis? I doubt it. And if they don't, does Green Bay really want to make that trade? Probably not. But do you want to keep him around just for the 1 year? Like, it's a very interesting conversation. So my guess is Malik Willis is your backup quarterback for the remainder of this year and next year. And then he probably goes out in, the following offseason and tries to get a big contract if he can. But for right now, what a hell of an insurance policy. To the point, I don't know how you guys felt, by the way. When Malik Willis came in this game, I didn't have any real panic. Like, it was definitely like this feeling of, like the Jaguars just took this lead and now you have to go in with a game plan that was not tailored for Malik Willis. There was definitely a bit of that, but at the same time, it wasn't like, you're just screwed. Like, I kind of had a feeling like Malik Willis was going to be able to go down and play efficient football and get points. And he did, which is just it's an unbelievable situation that they were able to get this guy for a 7th round pick, bring him in, and that he's been this successful in the opportunities that he's been given. What an unbelievable story. Dylan, there are people on my Twitter in the middle of the game that were still going with when are people going to Sam Decker was just tweeting my tweet and quoting the "Are we sure Gutekunst is smart?" Conversation that, of course, Pat McAfee had in the entire Jets situation. Of course, Jets lose today. They're done. They're 2-6. They've got the Texans on Thursday Night Football, about to probably go to 2-7. It's just done with the Jets. Like, they're all in scenario. They went and got Devontae. They go get Aaron Rodgers. They've done and they're 2-6. Just a nightmare in New York right now. But yeah, people on Twitter still doubting Matt LaFleur, saying that it's all his fault that they're 6-2. They have not had the easiest hand dealt to them so far this season by any means, specifically with Jordan and some of the injuries that he's had. So there's still the negativity out there. I don't get it. Matt's been unbelievable in finding a way to pick up a win here. Could it have been more clean? Absolutely. Did I think the game plan was phenomenal early in the game? No, but I also think, Jacksonville shut down the outside runs. You struggled to get the run game going inside at the beginning of the game. And then, Jordan just was not himself from that very first, when he kind of got hobbled early, you could just tell, like he was not himself, couldn't really buy time. And it just changed the entire feel and I think kind of direction of the game at that point. So I didn't really put anything on Matt. The defense was awesome early. And then when Matt had to come up with stuff with Malik Willis at quarterback, he came up with stuff and it was nearly flawless. And like the play to Jaden Reed, what a play call in that one. And what an absolute dime. What a play by Jaden Reed. This team continues to find ways to win. And I know that the Vikings game 28-0 in the early game against Philly or whatever, but they're finding some guts, chutzpah on the spot to find a way to win. And I certainly can appreciate that so far. At some point, stop throwing interceptions to be good. I guess it's one throw. I think part of the stuff that Jordan's going through is probably not quite having his fastball in this one of just being able to kind of throw it with maybe the rhythm and timing that he liked. I don't know what he's expecting from the wide receiver on that play. So I don't know if the wide receiver maybe ran it a little bit too far or he was expecting him to come back to it a little bit more. I'll have to go back and watch that. Again, would I put this on the, oh my God, it was unbelievable. Like, look at the chances that he's taking down the field. No. Was it a throw that it probably was lofted up there a little bit too much and gave the defensive back the opportunity? Yes. But I'm willing to give Jordan still, and again, I'm not trying to be a Jordan apologist here, but with him being, injured and hurt and not, again, having probably full speed on the fastball that he would like, I'm willing to give this a little bit more of a pass right now and see what it looks like a little bit more when he's healthy. And again, I didn't think that was some unbelievably brutal decision. Good play by the defender, not a great throw, probably not a great decision. But I definitely want to go back and watch that one a little bit more. And at the end of the day, it's one throw. Not going to judge his entire performance off of that, but you could tell his injury was definitely affecting him in this one. Tyler Straber, Malik plays within the offense. That's what Love did in the second half of last season. It works, but now Love got paid in his notoriety. He tries to do too much. As a result, he's not playing as well. I don't think there was anything he was trying to do too much of in this game, Tyler. I think that's a niche narrative that you can try to spin right now, and I just don't think there's a sample size to prove that. I think there's a few throws that he'd absolutely like to have back this year. I still think there are times where he's very much playing within the offense. I think he needs to limit the turnovers. I think he knows that. I think the Packers know that. I still expect that to happen at some point. But I don't think Jordan's all of a sudden this. I'm not buying the gunslinger thing still, just not doing it. Still think that he is, for the most part, playing within the offense, and just a couple decisions here or there that he probably needs to do a little bit better job of. And like I said, I want to throw this. I want to see this throw a little bit more in detail on the all 22 to see exactly what he was looking at, what the receiver was maybe supposed to do, the type of play that the defender ultimately made. And again, he's clearly not himself when he's making that throw, just with the groin and the knee injury. Like you could just clearly tell. So I'm not judging anything on Jordan in this game based on him just being hurt from very, very early in the game. And sometimes when you don't have the movement ability you're more likely to maybe get rid of a football where usually you would maybe stand in the pocket a little bit longer or maybe buy a little bit more time. He clearly couldn't do that. I mean, some of the handoffs were really, really difficult for him. So I'm not spinning any narratives or jumping to any conclusions based off of this one game for Jordan. Or again, we've talked about it previously. And I'll say one more time, there's some things he needs to clean up, no question about it. But I'm not ready to say, look, he's just going big game hunting and like he just wants to pay off the contract. He's going to be just fine. Like I have like the throw he made to Romeo Doubs in this one too, like just an unbelievable throw. Well, let's see what it looks like when, again, probably after the bye week. I think hopefully he can play this week. I don't know. We'll see. But regardless, after the bye week, hopefully he can get a little bit of time off and, start feeling a little bit better. And again, starting to play with that rhythm within the offense. All right. Dylan given 5 more Pack-A-Day memberships. We had, I think, around 100 new members in our pregame show. So Dylan, thank you so much for that. Puerto Rican Packer coming in with the big super chat. Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Malik Willis, maybe more franchises should follow Green Bay's playbook. Let young quarterbacks sit for a few years before starting them. Yeah, I think that's a playbook. And I think the playbook also is, man, if you can get a former, top 100 pick that was given up on by his team, it's probably not the worst idea. Geno Smith is another version of that. There's a lot of them out there right now. So, teams give up on quarterbacks probably a little bit too easy. I think that's why there's maybe there was some interest in Bryce Young. We'll see if he gets moved. I know he's starting today. We'll see what kind of performance he has. But teams giving up on these quarterbacks early, and the teams that are willing to find a way to kind of work with some of them have been kind of given a gift, and it's been a really good playbook for teams to use. So go out and get those QBs when teams give up on them, and hope you can kind of figure out a way to utilize them better. But Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Malik Willis, Geno Smith, there's a variety of them out there right now that are playing very good football that were given up on early in their career. The McPain train. What is up with the defense and not being able to cover tight ends? Their big slot players were eating. Also, shut up Malik and Jacobs for getting us through. Yeah, I'll have to, again, look back on this when we get the all 22 a little bit more. I should be able to watch. I don't know if I'll watch offense or defense tonight, but I'll watch one of them probably tonight. It definitely, that last play, Nixon's in a good position. Ingram goes up and gets it. And I also think Jair would have been able to make a better play on the ball had he not hurt his foot right before, trying to go up at the catch point. He might have been able to knock that thing loose too. So that was a great play great throw by Trevor, great catch by Ingram. You'd like to see a little bit better there. And just, too many open guys, I think, later in the game, especially when you're trying to play a defense that's not allowing big plays down the field. You still allowed too many of them. So not sure exactly why. On the one play with Bullard where he comes down and tries to jump the route and then they get the big play out of it. So they're bringing a blitz on that play. Now, I don't know what they're coaching Javon on that play, but they're bringing an aggressive blitz and Javon's going on the first move, hoping that the blitz is going to get there where they're not going to have time for a second move. And if the blitz gets there, then, even if they, if Bullard guesses wrong and the receiver goes upfield, the pressure should ultimately get there at the time. So when Lawrence is looking his way, he knows he's got a blitz on and the receiver makes an outside move. He's triggering, hoping that Lawrence pulls the trigger and he's going to have like a pick 6 on the play. But instead, blitz doesn't get there. He looks like an ass for doing the, biting on it early, although he's, basically expecting that the pressure is going to get there if they get to the second move. And then he's just beat on the play. I don't know what they're teaching them there. I don't know if Jeff Affley and the defense is saying, hey, blitz on this one. If they go first move, we want you to undercut that thing because it's going to be a big time pick. And if not, like, it's up to our defenders to get there on the blitz before that they can hit that second move. It's probably not that aggressive, but we just don't know. So I can understand at least what his thought process was there. And I need to look at the play after that on the touchdown to Brian Thomas Jr. immediately following to see what kind of happened on that one. But overall, some coverage issues in this one that they'll need to get cleaned up. And I'm sure they will. There was some really great stuff early in the game from the defense. And I think each of these games has their own identity. And there's almost can be games within the game where, again, in this one, it looked like the defense was phenomenal early in the game and came up with 2 big turnovers, but they also gave up a lot of big plays and point production. So you're going to have to figure out ways to limit that. You've got a big test coming up this week against Detroit, and they're certainly going to have to be much, much better in coverage against Detroit if they want to have an opportunity to win that game, or Detroit will put up 40 on them just like they can in pretty much any game that the Lions play in right now. All right, John Alberto, Matt LaFleur's situational play calling has been bad all year. Offense best when quarterback is under center. Offense still slow to start. Pass rush non-existent. W is a W. Offense was definitely slow to start. Absolutely believe that Jordan's injury played a part in that. I think one of the reasons we haven't seen as much under center is because Jordan was out early in the year with the injuries. Then he came back, and you could tell when he first came back, didn't have that mobility, was finally getting back healthy, and then suffered the injury early in this one. And even like when he was under center in this game, it just looked completely awkward, right? So I think there's a reason why you haven't seen as much under center. Probably need to do a little bit more pistol, which they did go to at some point in this game if you can't get quite under center. But I think a lot of the health of Jordan has played a huge part into that. And I think, again, the health of Jordan really played a huge factor in the slow start on offense in this one as well. Jacob Odea, thoughts on Chris Brooks usage? I love it. I'm a big fan. I really liked what I saw on tape coming out of Miami, the Dolphins. And I really like how he's used so far. I think he's really good in pass pro. I like the 2 running back sets with him. I like how he runs as a back. I love the wherewithal to go down inside the 5-yard line and not allow because what happens is if you even bring that thing to the 1 or 2 yard line, what teams will do is they'll carry you into the end zone sometimes. Like they will literally bring you into the end zone so that they can get the ball back on offense and not allow a game-winning field goal from easy distance with no time left. So I thought it was super smart of him to go down around like the 4-yard line-ish. It was a perfect spot to go down. You could see like the safety was getting ready to like almost like pull. And that's the last thing that they would have wanted in that situation. So thought that was a really smart play. But no, I really like Chris Brooks. And it felt like he was number 2 back in this one, which is interesting because Wilson has definitely played well. But I have no issue with it. I'm a big fan of what he's done so far. Seabiscuits and Gravy, member for 12 months. That's amazing. A win is a win, and I'm thankful for Malik and X. Go Pack Go. Yeah, this was definitely a Goody special. The fact that they go out and get Josh Jacobs and Xavier McKinney on big contracts, and those 2 pay off huge dividends in this one. The fact that you find Malik Willis for a 7th, Brandon McManus on the street, like those are 4 of the players of the game. And, that's a testament to the pro personnel department and scouting these guys and finding them and making sure that they're going to be fits within the organization and the offense and defense that you run. That's huge. And can you imagine this game without those 4? With no McManus, Willis, Josh Jacobs, and Xavier McKinney? It's not even a game, right? So kudos to Goody in the front office. This was a huge win for them. Connor, got to wonder why Love feels this need to force throws. Matt LaFleur schemes people open so well. Not a Love hater, just wondering why there's such a difference between this season and last season. Is it his injury? We talked about this a little bit already, Connor. Again, it's one bad throw. Again, I don't know what the distance was that the receiver is supposed to run on that play. We'll love to go back and watch that one. We'll definitely cover it this week as we kind of go over the grades and everything like that. We talked about it in the pregame show, though. This didn't need to be a game where Jordan needed his A+ stuff. It just needed to be distribute the ball, get the ball out of your hands, and let the playmakers do the work, right? It's probably a throw that you really don't want in that situation either way. Probably a little bit too much of a 50-50 ball, but again, I'll have to go back and look at it a little bit more to see, again, was the receiver maybe supposed to come back or cut it off at a different distance? Was he expecting something a little bit different? Did the defender just make an unbelievable play? We'll see. I don't think this is some unbelievably egregious throw where you're, putting your hand between your heads and your head between your hands and saying, oh my God, what is he possibly thinking on that throw? What a stupid decision. But it definitely in real time looked like it was one that he should have avoided and maybe found a different avenue for success on that play, even if that means throwing the ball away. So we'll see. We'll take a look at it this week. And either way, unless I'm forgetting something, I don't think there was any other sort of turnover worthy play from Jordan in this one. So if it's one throw, again, you're not expecting perfection every game, and one throw is okay. I know he didn't play the entirety of the game, but still, I'm very much still in the camp of give Jordan a little bit more the benefit of the doubt. See what happens when he gets healthy and as the season goes on a little bit. All right. Walked the length of the Western Front in 2015. Flanders mud got my groin there. It was a bloody painful, and I was crook for 2 months. Okay, I'm not a young athlete, but I feel for Jordan. I don't know what that means, Izzy, but I appreciate it. Yeah, I definitely feel for. Got your groin. Gotcha. Hopefully he's okay. Hopefully he can play next week and look more comfortable than what he did this week, or once he had the injury. But it's definitely going to be one to monitor this week as, they try to figure out if he can go or if this is going to have to be Malik Willis versus the Lions. Because Malik Willis against the Colts, Jaguars, and Titans is one thing. Malik Willis against the Lions is a tough ask. Like that, anyone against the Lions right now is a tough ask. So you would love to have Jordan at full health. Don't know if that's going to be in the cards, but I would certainly take it if there would be any way that he could be healthy in this one. Mark, do you sit Love next week with the bye the following week? I think they'll just look at that as, from an injury standpoint and figure out, can he give it a go? Is he anywhere near 100%? And it's just going to have to, a more medical decision. I don't think they'll let the bye week, play into it. I don't think they'll really let who they're playing play into it. I think if he's healthy to go, they will let him play. And if he's not healthy enough to play, they won't let him play. I think this will be a long-term decision, knowing that he's their franchise. He's the guy. They just paid him all the money. You're not looking at this from a short-sighted side of things. You got to let him, you got to make the right decision for him in the long term. And if that's that he can play and it's not going to have any adverse effects, then you let him play. If he's not 100% and you're risking aggravation of injury or something like that, then yeah, I would say you let him sit out, get healthy, and you do your best with Malik Willis to try to come up with a win against the Lions. Chris Brooks' pass blocking was unreal. Yeah, he's phenomenal. Like that's one of his strengths for sure. But he can catch the ball to the backfield. He can obviously run the ball really well. Like that's a crazy find. Like the fact that, again, they could bring him in on the practice squad, that Miami didn't even get him back on their own practice squad. And then he comes in, he's played very, very well. I've been very impressed so far with Chris Brooks. What you talking about, Willis? There you go. I love it. It's an apropos statement after this game. I do know what you're talking about. And I go back to what we started with. It's an unbelievable story. He's probably, I don't think there's any debate about this. He's the best backup quarterback in my lifetime. Now, hold on. I understand Brett was a backup to Don. Aaron was a backup to Brett. Matt Hasselbeck was out there. Obviously Matt Flynn had his good run. Mark Brunell, Aaron Brooks. Like there were some good backups. The majority of them, when they were good, never got to really be used in situations where you needed to come up with wins outside of Matt Flynn from that group. So the fact that Malik Willis has played in 3 games, the first 2 games, they're 2-0 in those games. And in this one, you come in midway through, you just went down in the game by it was 4 points, if I remember correctly. And you immediately help go drive down touchdown. Now it was a complete run drive, right? I get that, but still, and then you help win this game. Like I think he's the best, most impressive backup quarterback that's actually got opportunities in my lifetime as a Packer fan, which is saying something. So really kudos to him for what he's been able to do. Look at all these super chats. Sign of a good team. They have played pretty poor, especially Matt LaFleur and Stiller 2-0 the last 2 weeks. Matt LaFleur needs to be way better with upcoming schedule. I understand. I don't think this was like a beautiful game plan to begin with, but I thought, again, you look at the defense early. The defense was phenomenal early, and then they fell apart late. The offense sucked early. They were great late. They came up with some really great run looks. They came up with a huge play at the end. Like this is a 4-quarter game. By the way, all right, can we just say, and I get part of this was due to some, a turnover or whatever that they got at the 2-yard line or whatever, wherever they got that Devontae Wyatt play. If a bad Matt LaFleur offense is putting up 30 points on the road predominantly with a backup quarterback, so be it. So freaking be it. This was always going to be like it always felt like from the very beginning, a weird game where you're just going to get some stuff that didn't go the way that you were expecting and had to find a way to win. And they found a way to win. I think we look too far into trying to strive for this perfect game or perfect performance, or like it's so rarely that way, especially when I think you still have the youngest team in the league. I don't know if the McManus 30-year-old signing flipped that or not enough to get them into a little bit higher, but either way, one of the youngest teams in the league, and finding ways to win this when you had the injury that you did at quarterback. This to me is a statement for Matt LaFleur, not against Matt LaFleur, that they found a way to win this game. So again, I think this was the 1A perfect game plan that we saw early. No, but I think a lot of times it looks like an unbelievable game plan when your guys go out and execute. And I didn't think the guys, especially Jordan, partially due to the injury, did a great job of going out and executing early in this game. And guess what? It looks a whole hell of a lot better when your guys go out and execute. And in the second half, the run game went out and executed at a far higher level. Josh Jacobs was on one. Malik Willis found some throws. And it looks like Matt's a freaking genius. So, I think a lot of it comes down to execution. I didn't think the offense executed well in the first half. I didn't think the defense executed well in the second half. Do I think that takes away from what the defense did early in the game and getting 2 big turnovers? No. Do I think it is a huge indictment of Jeff Hafley? No. Same thing on offense. And again, if a bad game is 30 points on the road, primarily with a backup QB, all right, so be it. If that's the bad game, I can more than take it. Nathaniel Sattler, Hafley just wanted to show us that what Willis is capable of. It's all good. Definitely don't. I know you're saying it in jest, but it would have been nice to have seen Green Bay get those stops at the end. I really wanted to see that, quite frankly. When it was 27-20 and Jacksonville got the ball, I wanted Green Bay either to take the ball away or get the 3 and out and be done. Like that's where it should have ended right then and there. Really didn't like that they were able to drive down and get that touchdown. Some things that Green Bay will have to learn from and go back to the tape on and figure out why that happened. But that's definitely one that I would have liked to have seen Green Bay get off the field right then and there. Kyle Cray, are we pressing the panic button on the pass rush? I mean, it's been a consistent topic for 8 weeks so far. I think it's still that way today. There was a lot of chipping again by the opposing offenses, and it definitely gave Trevor Lawrence some time. On the touchdown to Evan Ingram, at first glance, it looked like Rashawn Gary was one-on-one on that play and couldn't win. So, yeah, I don't know that the panic button per se needs to be pressed, but it has been a consistent issue for 8 weeks, and it certainly didn't feel like it made any progress today. So definitely needs to be better, and they got to figure out a way to get to the quarterback a little bit more, especially when they did have a lead towards the end and did have the opportunity to get, tee off and get after the quarterback a little bit more. Want to see a little bit more production there. Jason, Vilma clearly needs a Pack-A-Day membership, not knowing that Tucker Kraft has been tight end 1 all year. Another great game by Tucker Kraft. Yeah, I get it. It's tough for those guys, watching everything and whatnot, but you've got a whole week to prepare for that game. You probably need to know that a little bit better. But just very happy that Tucker Kraft is on the team and he continues to play really great football. Came up with some big plays in this one as well. That play where he's in the open field and just stiff arming the corner and stiff arming him and not allowing him to tackle him. Just a really, really fun play. A lot of George Kittle-esque mentality there for Tucker Kraft. And by the way, it's not just Jonathan Vilma. Everyone needs a Pack-A-Day membership. So that should kind of go without saying, Jason. Adam, Malik looks good enough to lead us for a while. Yeah. Yeah, I guess I don't have anything against. I'm not going to doubt him. I'm just not going to doubt him at this point. I think I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying that Jordan's not the guy. Jordan's the guy. He's your QB1. There's no controversy here. There's no reason to have that conversation. But if Malik needs to play, and now again, it's a really tough ask against Detroit this week, and they got a tough schedule coming up. But if Malik needs to play, I certainly have a level of confidence that the offense is still going to be able to put up points and be productive. He has proven that so far, and he has been just outstanding, just absolutely outstanding. Fading West, beating Detroit without Love would be a tall task, but if anyone can scheme it up, I think it's Matt LaFleur. The bye week is maybe just a week too late. Yeah, you would like to see that bye week this week right now with the injuries that maybe piled up a little bit in this one. But yeah, it's going to be a tough game no matter what. But home crowd, 3:25 kickoff should be a robust Packers group of fans, hopefully, in that game. It is a Milwaukee season package, and Detroit is very close by. So we'll see how many Lions fans are in that game, but want a huge crowd for Green Bay and want Green Bay to figure out a way to come up with that win. No two ways about it. It's a huge game in the NFC North, just a massive game. I mean, to the point where, I think if you want any real aspirations to win the NFC North, and I know it's early and I'm not saying it's over yet if you lose this game, but getting your third loss and going 0-2 in the division with losses to Minnesota and Detroit, both of which are at home, that's a really tough way to start your NFC North season when it's a massively brutal division and you got to get as many wins as you can. So it's a big game for Green Bay. And too, if you don't win the division, the best you can do is the 5 seed. The absolute best you can do is the 5 seed, which means in all likelihood, you got 3 road games to get to the Super Bowl and then a Super Bowl, which makes your road really, really tough. So there's no two ways around it. This is a huge, huge game for Green Bay. And whether it's Malik Willis, if there's no Jordan Love, if there's no Evan Williams, if there's no Jair Alexander, if there's no Josh, whatever it is, next guy up, got to find a way to get a win. That is what it is. And again, I'll say this one more time. Detroit too will have some big losses. No Aiden Hutchinson, no Jamison Williams. That's 2 massive losses for Detroit. So I'm not saying it's necessarily even if you're missing those guys, especially Jordan for Green Bay, but no matter what, nobody's feeling sorry for you. You go out with what you got and you got to find a way to get a win. Brando Rosendahl. What happened with the Williams injury? Missed it. Hamstring. I didn't see the injury itself, but a hamstring injury and did not return to the game. That's all I got for you. I wish I had a little bit better answer. Brandon, expanding upon my last question, more important acquisition at this point in the season, Willis or X? I'll still say X. Just because too, I think the long-term gain from Xavier McKinney and what he's done with those young safeties and everything, I'll say Xavier McKinney, but man, the Malik Willis trade is proving to be massive. And again, I think they lose 3 games without Malik Willis. I don't think they win this one. Like if that's Sean Clifford, they have 3 losses instead of those 3 wins with Malik Willis. Fight me on it. I just don't think they win at all. Maybe you can get Indy with how well they ran the ball in that game. Maybe. Still don't think so. I think you're 0-3 in those games if they stuck with Clifford or went with Michael Pratt or anything like that. Puerto Rican Packer, do you think Jordan Love's injury happened in practice and worsened in the game? The low betting line makes me wonder if Vegas knew something. No, I think that first play where he pulled up was where that happened. Just my hunch. And they would have had to report it. So no, I don't think anything happened with Jordan midweek. JLM, what's up with Love not looking like he's taken a step from end of last year? I get Houston was a good defeat or good defense, but still only full staple win was against Arizona. He's been hurt. He's been hurt for the vast majority of the season so far. Clearly not 100%. I thought he looked much better against Arizona and against Houston, meaning like he looked completely healthy in those games. And the Arizona game, he looked really good in. And Houston, certainly a lot of really positive plays with a couple he would certainly like to have back. But again, I think it's too early, and I think he's been too banged up to put any massive judgment on it so far. R. Smith, the Edgerrin Cooper rundown PBU is the best play I've seen from a Packers middle linebacker in 3 or 4 years. It might be longer than that. This is one I want to look at too. There's a chance that I guess I really want to go back and look at this one because I think on one angle it did just look like the receiver dropped it. I don't know how much Cooper affected it. On the other angle, it looked like he did. But either way, just the speed to get up the seam and even be remotely close on that play is really, really impressive. So that's what I'm really, really looking forward to going back to look at on the tape this week. Izzy Roberts, U.S. education, Western Front, World War I, from France through Belgium, same battlefront, over 100 miles. Izzy, what are we doing here? I'm a history major, by the way. I don't remember a damn thing. I have a whole history degree. I have a history degree, 4 years. I have the diploma. I can bring it on the show sometimes. I don't remember a damn thing. Not a single thing from my history year. I learned how to write, learned how to problem solve. I learned some other things in college. Can't remember a thing about history. So it's gone. It's all filled with random Packers knowledge that is just pushed all of my history out. I did Russian Revolution. I know the word Bolshevik. I can't remember a thing about the Russian Revolution anymore. But yeah, so it was a really fun topic, but cannot look you in the eye and tell you I remember a damn thing about anything that I learned about the Russian Revolution in college. And I wrote a huge freaking thesis on it. Got nothing. Connor, anything that could help unlock LVN if he was a project, but curious what you're seeing. Wish Gary had some more help. We talked about this on the pregame show today, Connor. Really good athlete, really good effort player, been solid against the run, needs a pass rush plan, needs to work on his technique. Has no go-to move, doesn't have a long arm, a spin move, a jab step, a Euro step, a spin move, a anything. Doesn't have anything that he can go to win. Feels like he's just like starting his rush and then like, oh God, what do I do? What do I do? All right, attack the offensive tackle. All right, now he's got me. Now what do I do? Can I get off of him? Nope. All right, I'm just gonna keep working. And if the play extends, like he can go make plays because he's athletic and he doesn't give up on the play, which is good traits to have. And again, he's good against the run, but pass rush plan standpoint, a lot of work to do. Technique work standpoint, a lot of work to do. Izzy giving away 20 Pack-A-Day podcast memberships. Izzy, you are the absolute best. Thank you for covering for my lack of history knowledge and for giving away those memberships. That is incredible. Bruce Bowler became a new YouTube member. Bruce, thank you so much for signing up. All right. What do we got in the chat? I think that's all of our super chats for the moment. Hunter, thank you so much. Izzy's got another. I was going to ask you about the, I don't know if I'm going to say that. No, I got nothing left. It's all gone. It's all gone. To be fair, I got by with my history degree. I got a PhD in playing Madden and watching Thursday Night Football for the most part when I was in college. And you know what? It paid off pretty damn well. So I don't have any major complaints with it one way or the other. Loved UW Oshkosh, by the way. Beautiful campus. Love the school. Not a negative thing to say about it. Don't remember a thing from my degree. Finally got the Josh Jacobs game. Yes, we very much did. It was a beautiful, beautiful game from Josh Jacobs. He was just on one. You could tell he was feeling it. Hopefully no major injury at the end. And hopefully he's going to be okay, but that was awesome to watch. Just a really, really fun performance from him. Jay Western, kudos to you, my friend. Whatever it takes. There's something romantic about Malik Willis beating the Titans, Colts, and Jaguars this season. It is. It really, really is. It's too bad he couldn't get a little bit more run against the Texans. Packers probably would have won by 50, but no, it's the AFC South tour was amazing, and seeing him get those wins was like I said, a really cool story and really fun to watch. What's the last time Matt LaFleur has won a challenge? Yeah, he's got a little bit of work to do. I saw, by the way, let's talk about that for a second, because this is kind of a fun one to nerd out about. I saw people saying, and I didn't see this live, but I trust what people are saying, that there were 12 men on the field, so they were going to have to call a timeout anyway. That's a really bad process. So in the first half, from a timeout standpoint, I don't really care as much if you waste your timeouts as much. It's not game deciding, right? In the second half, timeouts are gold. You don't know when you're going to need those to stop the clock, whether it be on offense or on defense, and they are a finite resource. You only get 3. Meanwhile, challenges are also a finite resource. You might only get 2. Okay? You've got 12 men on the field. It's middle of the game. It's a 2nd and 3. I want to say it's like a 2nd and 3 on the play. You've got 12 guys on the field. There's a challenge you're not going to win. To throw the challenge flag, to lose a challenge and a timeout in that situation is really not smart. What you should do in that play is, if you see that, don't give them the free play with 12 guys on the field. Just have your defensive lineman. You need to have a name. Just say like poison, something like that. Poison, poison, poison. And if you hear that call, it is somebody's responsibility on the defensive line just to jump off sides and hit the offensive tackle so that it's an automatic 5-yard penalty and you go and live to see another down. Is it a first down? Yes. Did they get the first down anyway? Yes. It's 1st and 10 Jacksonville on the 50-yard line, and you start over. The 4 yards doesn't even matter. All right. Those are going to happen almost no matter what, right? The 5 yards or whatever, the first, like, not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. It was 1st and 10. They ended up getting the first down 2 plays later anyway. It was 1st and 10 at about the exact same spot. Just start over. Just start the drive over. 1st and 10, ball in the 50. Let's get the stop. And then you save a timeout and a challenge in that situation. The 5 yards is completely meaningless. The timeout is so much more valuable than what those 5 yards would be. And the challenge could be massively valuable as well if you need it later. So if the question is, would I rather give up 5 yards and give them a first down on a play on a 2nd and 4 where they're an advantageous down and distance anyway, or give up a timeout and a challenge for nothing? Give me take the 5 yards, take your medicine, start the drive over, and let me keep my timeout and my challenge every single time. So even if it was like, well, we got to use a timeout anyway, might as well throw a challenge. Bad process in that situation. Don't call the timeout in that situation. Take the offsides penalty, give them the 5 yards, and keep your finite resource and give up the 5 yards because it doesn't matter at all. All right, enough nerding out about that. I think we got a couple more super chats on this one. Daryl, the fact that we are actually winning close games with our backups is cool, but with the crazy schedule coming up, would you rest Jordan? To me, this is not a decision that you make because it's the Lions. It's not a decision you make because of the bye week coming up. It's not a decision that you make because of anything other than whatever the medical says. The medical says he's good to go and there's no risk of re-injury. You play him in this game. If the medical says, yeah, there's a lot of risk of re-injury and he's just not good to go, you don't play him in this game. Period. End of story. Now, I get it's not completely always black and white. There's a gray area. They might say, hey, he's 75% and there's a 10% risk of re-injury. Then or a 5% risk of re-injury, or maybe injuring something else because he's compensating for the groin injury. Like, then those are things that you're going to have to figure out and make that decision on. And if that's the case, because this is a long-term decision, I probably go more with resting Jordan and going with Malik Willis in this game. So that will be a decision that they have to make, but it will be medically driven and not driven by a bye week or their upcoming opponent or anything like that. That's how it should be when you have a decision like that on a star quarterback. I hate having Smith in coverage, but if so, please train him. So, by the way, this has not been talked about. Preston Smith dropping back in coverage so far this year has been awesome. It has been unbelievably amazing. They've done a tremendous job of it. It disguises things more often than not. They've got a lot of free rushers off of the other side from it. It has been a play that's worked tremendously. I know all the memes and the jokes last year with Joe Barry Preston dropping back into coverage. And in Joe Barry's time, it really did not work. So far this year, when Jeff Hafley is called up the Preston in coverage plays, it's worked almost to perfection. And when you're dropping Preston in coverage in that play, you are dropping him to a spot. He's dropping to that spot in the play. The running back went inside. Like the linebacker had to clear out in the middle of the field to cover up the seam. And Preston's never going to get over there. They know that. When you're doing some of these more exotic plays to try to get a pressure play, like there's going to be some things that you're susceptible to. That's not a bad play by Preston because he is dropping to his spot on that play. And you know that, hey, something like this could happen. But you're hoping that the reward of being able to confuse offenses and drop somebody into coverage that they're not expecting and bring a player from the other side that they aren't expecting is going to pay off. And this year so far it has. But guess what? In every situation where it works, is it going to work every single time where you do that, where you drop Preston and bring a different blitzer and it's just going to work? No, sometimes the offense is going to find the weakness in that zone and they're going to exploit it. There's no perfect play call. There's never a perfect play call. It's not going to be like, you know what? We're going to be able to cover everyone perfectly, and we're going to be able to get there immediately. That's why everyone wants to be able to cover with 7, hopefully with tight coverage, and get there with 4. And if you could, even better, if you could cover with 9 and get there with 2. But it doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. So, they caught Green Bay on the blitz on that one, or on dropping Preston into his spot. Nothing Preston could have done on that play. It's just you're taking a risk as a play caller when you call something like that. And the potential rewards that it could give you, and the potential risks that it could give you. Yeah. So Preston Smith dropping into coverage so far this year has worked very, very well, and no issues with that whatsoever. All right. Forget injury risk. At what point do you start evaluating whether a limping Jordan is better or worse than a healthy dual threat Willis? It's a fair question. And I think it's a fair question just because of how well Malik has navigated the offense. If your quarterback feels good enough to play, though, you give him those opportunities. Like Jordan has earned that right to say, no, I'm going to be out there. Now, I don't know, what Jordan thought. Like, clearly it just felt like, Jordan didn't feel like he could play at that point because he took himself out of that game, right? So I don't know if that was Jordan being like, I'm hurting my team because I can't go at the full speed and I trust Malik Willis. Or I don't know if he just felt something and be like, I got to get out of here. It's going to be way worse. Or if he just couldn't continue. I don't know what that was, but I understand the sentiment of what you're talking about. But when you are to the level of Jordan that he's got to, you have every right to be out there. The checks and stuff at the line of scrimmage that you can make is super valuable. Just getting everyone lined up in the cadence and all those things, usually super valuable. So Jordan gets that benefit of the doubt. I do understand what you're saying. And I do think there is at least all right, if Jordan's at what percentage does Jordan have to be at where you just say, all right, it's time to go to Malik, right? Jordan's at 50%, 40, 30, 20, 10. Like, where's that line where it's like, all right, Malik is better than what Jordan could give us because of the injury? And those are tough conversations. There's usually not an easy answer, and again, I don't know if Jordan maybe recognized that on his own and said, I can't play the way that I need to play to get the team in the situations that they need to get into to win this game, or if he just couldn't continue. I don't know what the answer to that was, but Malik was definitely, with his dual threat ability, able to come in, run the offense effectively and efficiently, just like he was in the previous 2 games. And that is a really nice benefit to have coming off the bench. Adam, thank you for becoming a new member. Appreciate that a ton. Sam coming in with the UW Oshkosh. I think, all right, let's see here. UW Oshkosh alumnus. I know we've got Culver's guy. Most popular alumni. What do we got? All right, here's our list of, so we got Jim Vandehei, American journalist and businessman who was the co-founder and CEO of Axios and the former executive editor and co-founder of Politico. Oh boy. Aaron Murphy, a Minnesota politician, serving as majority leader of the Minnesota Senate since 2024. Claire Decker, American professional stock car driver. I thought the creator and founder of Culver's too is on this list of UW Oshkosh alumni, but maybe I'm wrong. It's not a huge list. You know what? We need to get Andy Herman on that list of UW Oshkosh alumni. Come on, UW Oshkosh. Yeah, it's not a super impressive list. So, and there's only 29. Can I be 30th? I just want to be the 30th notable alumni. This is not, or here's what we got from Distinguished and Outstanding Alumni right on the UW Oshkosh page. Scott Fitzgerald, Outstanding Young Alumni Award, 1996. I don't know. I'm telling you, UW Oshkosh, think creator of the Pack-A-Day podcasts might deserve some recognition here, UWO. Let's make it happen. I'm saying that mostly in jest. I don't really care one way or the other. Hey, this may be wrong, but it made me sick as soon as I saw how much love is getting paid. It feels like Rodgers' situation again, too much money. Just disagree. Jordan's really, really good. He's super talented. He's going to be just fine. He's played through injury for the majority of the season so far. It's been a weird start to the season in like totality. Jordan's going to be great. No doubt about it whatsoever. I know that we get these immediate, gut reactions to stuff. Let's put Jordan's entire body of work over the last year and a half into context. And what he's done over the last year and a half has been massively impressive. And so, so there's some things, again, that he would like to have back. Yes. Do I think the contract is going to be a situation where Green Bay can't win with it? I don't. The majority of teams would love to have Jordan on that contract right now. So no concerns about that whatsoever. Jared Washburn, that's another good one. Hey, I am a UW alumni too. One a distinguished alumni. There you go. Nice job. The Packers don't have a choice but to pay him. It's the going rate for QBs. He will be great. Let him heal up. I totally agree with that. Love's not getting paid as much as people are saying. He's not getting $55 million per year. It's 231 divided by 5, $46.2 million per year. There's definitely a piece of that as well. Agreed, Matthew. Jay Western, we don't need to go there. Better than the Rodgers contract. I would agree with that as well. All right. What else, guys? Anything else you guys want to talk about? Quay Walker getting traded if a team offers a third like Rasul Douglas. Yeah, I mean, if a team offered a third for Quay, I think they would absolutely consider it. I don't think there's any team that's offering a third-round pick for Quay Walker right now. That would be pretty stunning, in my opinion. Do you think the Jets season this year is a cautionary tale on going all in? Going all in doesn't always guarantee success. Turns out Goody is a good GM. I don't think it's a cautionary tale on going all in, Richard. That was not an all-in move. That was a desperation move. That was a we need to save our jobs move. Quite frankly, it was a dumb move. Green Bay was very lucky to get somebody that was willing to take on that Aaron Rodgers contract, or we are not in this situation right now. It is a much worse Packers timeline, in my opinion, if somebody does not take on that Aaron Rodgers contract. And I don't know what happens with Jordan Love in that situation. So the fact that New York was able to take that on was one of the bigger moments. Like if the Packers do end up in this era of Goody, LaFleur, Love getting a Super Bowl in any way, the moment the Jets traded for Aaron Rodgers will be the number one thing on that list that helped propel them to that spot. And that's not a knock on Aaron. That's just the contract was a absolutely brutal contract. And to be fair, what Aaron has provided, I know obviously last year the Achilles is a huge part of that, and him coming back from the Achilles and not, being probably quite himself is a piece of that. But the ROI on that contract is brutal. But the Jets that's not an all in where like, we've got this awesome team that's ready to win right now. And now we just need to enhance it with 2 or 3 pieces. And we're going to go all in to get those 2 or 3 pieces. That was we're in a bad spot. We've lost a lot of games. And if we don't do something soon, everyone's getting canned. Let's do something crazy or desperate. And by going all in and firing your coach and getting Aaron and getting Devontae, and that's desperation. That's not all in. And they were trying to save their jobs. And Robert Saleh already lost his. Good news for Green Bay as he consults with Green Bay. And the GM's going to lose his in the offseason. No 2 ways about it. Ben, I believe that you believe, or what you believe is wrong, but I'll pull it up just to be sure. 2025, he is on a 1-year, $1.4 million deal next year for the Green Bay Packers. So nope, he is a unrestricted free agent after 2025 going into the 2026 season. So nope, he is good to go for Green Bay for this year and the remainder of next year. It was me taking credit that said Gary needs to be moved around like Za'Darius. I'm telling you, Cooper is one of the chosen. Mark my words. Cooper has been really, really good. He's a really, really fun player. Can't wait to see what he evolves into, and he's already really, really great. I want to look at the corners in this game, but I don't think Kalen King has any real opportunity of getting called up for any significant playing time anytime soon. I don't see that in the cards. I'd be surprised if he gets any legitimate playing time this year. If it's a call up, I would expect it to be on special teams. Malik Willis is going to get paid if he ever gets traded. Hey, maybe the Jets will be interested in the offseason. Just maybe. How many first-round picks would the Jets have to give the Packers to swap Rodgers for Love? There's not enough. There's just not enough. There's nothing you're making that trade right now. No way you're doing it. Would we get a comp pick if he signs, or does that not carry over with the trade? Nope, would still get a comp pick depending on what they did in that free agency. But if Willis played out next year and then got a huge deal in free agency and Green Bay didn't counterbalance that with free agent moves of their own, they could get a comp pick for that. Absolutely. Nope. We're just talking UW Oshkosh, Mikey. Bullard looked like a rookie today, had some ups and downs. Again, the one play he jumped based on it being a blitz and expecting maybe the opportunity where if he did not get there on that play, that the pressure would get there in time. The second play, I want to see a little bit more. I thought those were the 2 main ones. I didn't see him really flash one way or the other on the other plays, but I'll have to go back and watch that a little bit cooler, of course, or closer. And of course, we'll go back and watch every player and every play as we go through our grades this week. Would a trade for Landry the third or Uche be realistic? I don't think so. I just don't see them going super aggressive in that direction. But man, if they want to make a trade to try to upgrade the pass rush, I certainly wouldn't hate it. I think a name still to watch out for maybe would be Agbo Okoronkwo with the Browns. He had a sack of Lamar Jackson today. He's in a contract range that makes sense. He's in a point where the draft compensation, probably a day 3 pick, makes sense. Like, could you trade right now like a 5th round pick and Brenton Cox for Agbo Okoronkwo? Yeah, I think that could potentially be a deal that makes sense for both teams. But I don't see them going all in on like some sort of big defensive end. We'll see though. Maybe I'll be wrong. The touchdown on Nixon looked horrible. Should we start someone else in the slot? He's not in bad position at first glance on that play. He's just going up against a tight end that completely outjumped him. Also, Jair's in that vicinity as well, but he can't go up because he gets injured on the play. And again, I hate judging this stuff just on TV film because it's so hard to see what happened prior to the jump ball situation. But I'll go back and watch it closer and we'll talk about it this week, I'm sure. Favorite play of the game? Probably, the Jaden Reed plays in the conversation. Josh Jacobs' touchdown run is in the conversation. And then the Edgerrin Cooper, Devontae Wyatt, forced fumble recoveries in the conversation. So one of those 3. Honestly, the best play of the game was that damn punt, 76-yard punt out at the 1-yard line. That was the coolest effing play in that game. Like, that was unbelievable. But from a Packers standpoint, one of those other 3 I will go with in this one. Hey, Andy, I came in late to the live. What's your overall feel on this game? Go Pack, go. Glad they got away with the win. It was a bizarre game, a wonky game. You go into Jacksonville, you figure it out. You're down by 4 with your backup quarterback in the game. You go up by 10. Jacksonville responds, puts 10 unanswered on the board. You still go march right down and get the points that you need to win the game. I'll take it. I'll take the win. My biggest concern is with the injuries. Jordan, Jacobs, Jair, and Evan. That's a bad injury list. And hopefully most of them aren't major, but Evan not coming back in was not a great sign. Jair, I don't know, Jair's play was on the final defensive play, so he didn't get back in the game that like he couldn't have. And Josh Jacobs, I don't think ever returned either. So yeah, that's my biggest concern coming out of this one, but very happy they were able to come away with the win. Favorite play, Cooper's chase down PBU. That's up there. Favorite play, watching the Bears get stuffed on fourth down. I haven't been able to watch any of this game yet, but I'm going to turn that on in just a moment. Lions scored 53. Yeah, they're really freaking good. Favorites to come out of the NFC right now, for sure. No question about it. Seems like our defense was always a half step behind Jacksonville's offense. Is that a cause for concern? We'll see what the tape looks like this week. I don't know. Jacksonville obviously had some time to study Green Bay's defense and what they did against Houston, found some ways to exploit it. I don't know if it was an execution thing or if it was a game plan thing, but they'll figure it out. I think that Jeff Hafley's proven to be a good defensive coordinator in this short time here. Again, need to be consistent with it, no question, but some unbelievable stuff early in the game. I don't know. We'll see what the tape says later this week. Taking a shot of Evan Williams for good luck, probably a smart move. Probably a very smart move. No, I don't think so. I think Edgerrin Cooper's playing well. I thought at first glance it looked like McDuffie and Wilson were playing well. You're going to get Quay Walker back at some point. Hopper hasn't even had the opportunity to play, so I don't think so at this point. Too many open wide receivers. The D-line just could not get home. Yeah, that's been a problem. And maybe Jeff could have been a little bit more aggressive with it too. But you can't just count on that. You can't just be aggressive on every play. I thought Carl Brooks got pressure on a couple occasions, so that was good to see, but just hasn't been consistent enough from the entire line. 15 missed tackles on the defense today. Most of any game so far this season. Not good. Need to wrap up better. Yeah, you did definitely see some missed tackles. I didn't see that stat anywhere, but they definitely need to get it cleaned up. And to be fair, they've been a good tackling team so far this season. Thanks for all your work, Andy. It should be a fun week of listens. Lots to talk about and lots to look forward to. I agree. Huge matchup coming up with Detroit. And we could talk a million different directions about this game, right? If you want to be pessimistic coming out of this game, I can see some of the reasons why. If you want to be optimistic, I can absolutely see some of the reasons why. So we'll get into the nitty gritty of it. We'll talk about all the minutia and the details and why things went well, why things didn't go well. And we'll figure it all out and get ready for Detroit on Sunday. Just got back from the bar. Hopefully you had a couple good drinks, New York Cheesehead. Thanks for being here. Some of the big plays that might not get talked about were by our returners, made the right calls all day and whether or not to bring the ball out. John, I'm glad you brought this up. Solid special teams day. What did I ask for all week? Does anyone remember what I asked for? Just forgettable special teams. Just need you to be forgettable. It was so forgettable. We didn't even talk about anything up until this point. No big plays, no negative plays. We did talk about that unbelievable punt by Jacksonville, but outside of that, you made the game-winning field goal at the end. It was a pretty easy chip shot, but you still made it. And yeah, I didn't have to think about special teams. That's all I want. I don't want to have to think about you, special teams, ever. I don't ever want to think about you. Just be forgettable. And they were very forgettable in all the best ways today. So I will take it. Never accept anything you would in a win, you would not in a loss. Look at the Eagles team last year. If we play like this, the Lions will give us leather belt and the belt buckle as well. Nobody's saying that it's acceptable to have some of the plays that have happened in this game or anything like that. What everyone's saying is you would prefer to come out with a win and learn those lessons in a win and find a way to win, which I think is also a skill that you have to learn as a young team. So I think it's more of, hey, they did enough to win. The other team gets paid too. Green Bay has a lot that they need to clean up on both sides of the ball, offense and defense, but you won the game. You don't apologize for it. And you clean that stuff up during the week and you get ready for Detroit. And listen, Detroit is not perfect. They have flaws. Green Bay can attack those too. And you don't know what you're going to get in any given game, which we saw today in the early round of games as well. So they're going to be like both these teams, Detroit and Green Bay, are going to be really good for a really long time. They're going to be battling each other. And this is going to be a really fun matchup this coming Sunday. Fantastic coverage. Can't wait to see how it goes this week. Michael, I appreciate that. Stick around. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, give those 5-star reviews. Christian Watson, good game. Seems like he caught a number of important quick slants. I thought so. I don't know where he ended up with on the old stat sheet here. 4 catches, 39 yards on 6 targets. So it's not exactly gangbusters, but he came up with a couple big catches for sure. What is your Packers post-game victory tradition, victory pizza? Yeah, of course. We got the Luigi's victory pizza. So, of course, make sure to get those tweets in, right? Hashtag
Luigi's Victory Monday. Hashtag Luigi's Victory Monday. Get those in. Make sure to follow Luigi's Pizza at Luigi's Pizza, LuigesPizza, to be entered to win a case of free frozen pizzas from Luigi's. So make sure to do that. Love the way Watson has adjusted his game and very selfless. Listen to Matt LaFleur. He's the real deal. He's a really good player to have in that locker room. It was a good special teams day indeed. Coach didn't think twice about giving McManus the ball for the win. No need to dance on Narvison's casket, but we know what it is. He's been a good pickup so far for the last 2 weeks. We're just going to say that the front looks better when Brooks is in getting reps. I think the D front is going to look different in a couple of years. Very well could be. I did think Brooks at first glance looked like he had a good game, but they need to be more consistent up front. Again, this is the things that we're going to go through. I think the offense needs to be more efficient so that everyone's getting the ball a little bit more. But I mean, it's tough, right? Like you've got a lot of really good playmakers in this offense, and we could do this every single week. If Kraft got 8 balls today, we'd be saying, do you think Christian Watson needs to get the ball more? Do you think Jaden Reed needs to get the ball more? Do you think Romeo Doubs needs to get the ball more? Do you think Josh Jacobs needs to get the ball more? Like there's a finite amount of touches and you can't feed everyone. So yeah, I would love for all these guys to get more touches because that usually means the offense is very efficient and spreading the ball around and having everyone get involved. Wasn't that type of day today, but I think to me, the offense mostly needs to be revolving around Josh Jacobs, Tucker Kraft, and Jaden Reed. I think those are your big 3. But again, there's a lot of other options, and Romeo Doubs and Dontavian Wicks, amongst others, are going to have a huge say in that as well as Christian Watson. So it's really tough to spread the ball around enough to get everybody happy and everyone to the point where we feel great about everyone's touches in a game. Jacobs is that dude. He very much was today. That is for sure. I mean, I just don't think the pass rush was consistent today, Pack Crow, but I will go back and watch it, and maybe it looked better in the tape than it did in real time, but we're just not seeing a level of impact from the pass rush that I think anyone really wants at this point. Initial thoughts on Colby Wooden's play. I thought he played all right for someone who has been inactive the past few weeks. He was active the past few weeks. So no, he's been playing a decent amount actually with Devontae Wyatt out. He did have the one good knockdown, but I didn't really see anything else from Colby Wooden at first glance in this one. Player that needs to get the ball is the open player. Very, very true. Run the ball. They knew Jacobs was getting the ball and they got yards. All right. Yes, Musgrave is injured right now. Z Harris, 313. All right, guys, I'm going to lose my voice a little bit here. I think if I go any longer, I had the pregame show earlier, postgame show, and I'm going to be recording with Perry and Grant later today. So that'll be up tomorrow for your viewing enjoyment. It'll be up earlier for those of you who are members, which we got, I think, probably like 130, 140 more today as I knock my desk here. But so thank you for all the new memberships. Thank you for all of you who gifted memberships. Thank you for all the super chats. We had 41 super chats. We had pretty much 1,000 people in here the entire time for a hour-long post-game show. So cannot appreciate your support enough. It means the world. You guys are the absolute best. This community is amazing. Love the Green Bay Packers. Glad they got away with the win. And we move on to Detroit and a really fun matchup between the Packers and the Lions this coming Sunday, 3:25 in Lambeau Field. Looking forward to it already. I'll see you guys very soon. Again, Perry, me, and Grant's coming up tomorrow. Our usual string of guests, Rachel Hotmeyer, will join us later in the week to break down Packers Lions. So looking forward to that. And of course, check out the Pack a Day radio show on thefanmilwaukee.com or on the Odyssey app. We'll talk to you all very, very soon. But until next time, and as always, go Pack Go.